everybody. Welcome to the channel. We are live from Los Angeles and we are going to be talking about watches. We are specifically going to tackle the Sotheby's Hong Kong Important Watches auction. I'll share the link momentarily. We will take a look at most of the pieces that we can, as many pieces as we can, before the auction starts, which is in less than 24 hours. Obviously, it is October 21st, 11 a.m. in Hong Kong. That's when it actually will start, but it means, you know, with the time difference and everything, there's actually a little more than 22 hours left. So we're going to get right to it, and I'm going to start again, warming up my vocal cords. Jacob Elordi, Australian actor, Brisbane's own, much like Archie Luxury. He just received the Maverick Award at the Newport Beach Film Festival. This is him speaking on the stage with the Hollywood Reporter's awards chatter during the podcast live taping. And he was wearing a very rare version of the Audemars Piguet bamboo. Two important things about it. It is a jumbo, so to speak, so 33 millimeters. It's bigger than the rectangular versions of it. So, of course, it's in 18 karat yellow gold. It has a champagne dial and the famous owl design, basically, because it is day, date, and phases of the moon. One of my favorite Royal Oaks aesthetically is precisely the so-called AP owl. And this doesn't fail to deliver either. The Royal Oak in this configuration is 25,594 that you can find all in stainless steel, in two-tone stainless steel, 18 karat yellow gold, as well as in gold as well. But this piece, I think, is possibly nicer because it is more rare. I've seen it very rarely advertised anywhere. Sometimes it comes up in auctions once every so often. A vintage dealer might come up with an example, but by now they have really crept up in price. So it's perhaps best to be admired from far. But the octagonal case design, of course, the ultra-thin look, in this case complemented with a self-winding and complicated movement. But the jewelry-like work remains. You still have those beautifully polished, finely finished links, cylindrical, bound together to form the case and the bracelet. This is Jacob Elordi wearing the AP bamboo jumbo, day date, and the phases of the moon in 18 karat yellow gold. Please feel free to hit the like button. Hey, Ryan. Nice to see you, man. Thanks for being here. And I post the links of the Instagram posts right away. So if you use Instagram at all, please feel free to hit the like button there and leave a comment. Jay-Z was apparently on a visit to Doha. He was visiting Qatar, and he went to the National Museum. He took a private tour of the National Museum of Qatar, and he was wearing this very cool double-breasted pinstripe suit. I never understood the whole style of wearing a full suit with a t-shirt, but it's Jay-Z. We have to assume that he knows what he's doing. And he was wearing a very special piece. As you can see quite clearly, it is a 6263, a Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, hand-wound, in stainless steel, with the white Paul Newman exotic dial, in the Panda configuration, of course. But I remember some years back reading about the history of his purchase, and the watch is said to be one double signed, one co-signed by Tiffany and Company, of course, on the matching oyster bracelet. And it is a Mark I dial, which means in this configuration, it is probably from 1969, which of course makes it a birth year watch for Jay-Z. Jay-Z wearing the Rolex Daytona reference 6263 with a white Paul Newman exotic dial. Now I was able to again post this, feel very privileged, and none of it would be possible, none of it would have been possible without your support. GQ keeps coming back to tap me for my expertise. This time it was about Jeremy Strong's special relationship with Richard Mille, and I actually wrote, again, a very extended piece. They didn't necessarily use all of it, but they did use significant parts of it. So I was very happy. As you guys know, I posted about this over the last 2 weeks. I posted first on the rectangular piece that he wore in the New York premiere of this watch, the 1602 FQ specifically, this beautiful terracotta TPT piece. And more recently, Richard Mille stepped up and in fact debuted their new world timer on his wrist for the London premiere of the new Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere movie. Jeremy Allen White is playing Springsteen in the movie. Jeremy Strong is playing John Landau, who is, I think to this day, Bruce Springsteen's manager. But yeah, I thought that relationship had so many different layers that I tried to peel. Some of it made it to the final piece. Some of it didn't. I have the clippings here on the Instagram post, so you can already read it there or read the entire thing, which is not much longer beyond my contributions in this case, in the link here. Having said that, I would like to know if you guys would like to see a video where I perhaps do a slightly more extended version of these three pieces, one by one, of course. The one I did on the Omega Seamaster 120 Deep Blue on Daniel Craig's wrist, on Leonardo DiCaprio's relationship with Rolex, and finally on Jeremy Strong's special relationship with Richard Mille, which again, I detailed it in a very special way, but unfortunately, a lot of it didn't quite make it to the final result. All right, let's hit the like button. Again, we have the very humble goal of reaching 5 super chats of $5 or more, which will take this broadcast until midnight. And I think we need all that time. So if you want to see as many watches as possible, please don't hesitate to support. Again, I think, I take it for granted, honestly. I forgot, by the way, to post the link on Instagram, so I will do that right now with your permission, because that, honestly, I depend on a lot of viewership coming through Instagram. So let me see. Let me show you something nice while we are posting this link. And again, of course, the link is there. If you want to join me in talking about watches, feel free to hit it and jump on the panel. Okay. I forgot everything. What is going on? Uh, Okay. All right. All right. We can start right away. We're looking at lot 2112, which is a discontinued version of F.P. Jean's take on the perpetual calendar. The clover version, so to speak, with the salmon dial. The indications at the center of the dial have this clover-like framing, which kind of reminds me of perpetual calendars that AP has done with a similar design inspiration in its time. Of course, this is not exactly the same. Very clever, I would say, use of typography and a micro hand for the leap year indicator, which is right under the main hand stack. At 6 o'clock, you have a double-digit oversized date expression of the date. You have power reserve indicator for the 5 days, 120 hours of power reserve. This is an automatic movement, just to keep in mind. And there are 2 wickets at 12 o'clock for the day of the week and the month. And the signature kind of counterbalances the power reserve indicator at 3 o'clock. This is a pink gold piece, again with a salmon dial. $40 millimeters in diameter. And as you probably already know, the movement itself, in terms of its bridges and base plate, is rendered in 18 karat pink gold. And you have 22 karat gold, pink gold again, guilloche decorated and eccentrically placed, full rotor as well for the winding. This is an FP Jaune Octa Quantième Perpétuel in pink gold. The pre-auction estimate places the value of this watch somewhere around 103,000 to an amount in excess of 230,000 in US dollars. Obviously, the auction is based in Hong Kong, so the original estimates, which are of course included in the listings, are going to be exactly in that, in Hong Kong dollars. Lot 2103 is an FP Jaune again, an Elegant in Titanite. This is probably one of the most popular pieces in Jean's modern catalog. Probably the piece that gets most requests, along with Chronomètre Bleu. So very difficult to get. It has a flat tortue style case. This is the 48 millimeter version, of course. The origins of the Elegant go back to François-Paul Jean's aspirations, let's say, to make a watch for the wives of his collectors originally. But with that project, suddenly something else took off, and in an enlarged case size, the Elegant has become, in 48 millimeter, one of the most popular pieces in Jean's catalog, and it also has a few other interesting design elements to it. One is its luminous style, and the second part is its unique approach to quartz movement technology, which has as its aim to really extend the intervals between services and between battery replacements. The caliber 1210 has this mechanical motion detector, right, which is what you see at the 4 o'clock position through the cutout. When you take it off and put it to rest for more than 30 minutes, the watch goes into a standby mode. The hands stop moving, yet in the background, the microprocessor still continues to track time. So next time the watch is picked up, the hands automatically set themselves to the present time, to the current time. That is the thing about the FP Jaune Elegant, which you see here in a Titanite example. Here's a look on the case back. And again, the mechanical motion detector is at 4 o'clock there. And that's what allows the watch to go into a standby mode and wake up from it, showing, in fact, the current time. And this piece at lot 2103 has an estimated value somewhere between 31,000 to an amount 77,000, to an amount in excess of 77,000 in US dollars. $21.06. We are looking at an Octa Lune. The piece is still in FP Jaune's catalog. But not exactly with the same aesthetics. The Automatique Lune is just a little bit different, but it is essentially the same watch, especially in terms of its functions. It's a self-winding Jaune piece that has an oversized date at 11 o'clock, a moon phase indicator at 7 o'clock, in addition to what, for example, a simple time-only Jaune piece has. $14 millimeters in pink gold. Again, the same base that is built on caliber 1300, which when it first came out was the first automatic movement with a 5-day power reserve. Quite impressive. This is lot 2106, the Octa Automatique Lune. I think this is actually the current model the reference AL2, has an estimate somewhere between 64,000 to an amount in excess of 103,000 in US dollars. You guys know the deal. I sent the link there in the chat. So feel free to browse it at your own pace. And if you have any questions, any watch-related questions whatsoever, but especially any questions related to a lot on this auction, please send in the lot number. And I will be more than happy to answer your questions in depth with as much horological and historical depth as possible. We're looking at lot 2113, which is an F. Pigeon chronomètre à résonance in platinum. It is from year 2007. So it does have the pink gold movement with a case diameter of 40 millimeters, 2 independent gear trains with balances and escapements placed in close proximity so that they may resonate with each other, so that through the principle of resonance, they would correct each other's errors. Of course, from the very beginning, it's also been used by collectors as a dual time watch, since the two separate dials can be completely independently set from each other. The F. Pigeon chronomètre à résonance in platinum, 40 millimeters in diameter. And with the white gold dial as well. One of the most emblematic models for the brand. The pre-auction estimate sets the value of this watch somewhere between 180,000 to an amount in excess of 360,000 in US dollars. We were just looking at Jay-Z's 6263, which was fitted with a Tiffany co-signed white Paul Newman exotic dial. You're looking at another example of the 6263 with a Panda dial as well. But this is, as stunning as it is, something that commands less of a premium on the secondary market. A so-called Big Red with its original dial, which has a silver backdrop and black chronograph registers. One of the most desirable combinations, which brings together screw-down pushers with a bakelite plastic bezel insert. This particular piece is presented on a matching oyster bracelet in stainless steel. And this lot comes also with a Rolex presentation box. Lot 2117 for the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, Panda dial, Big Red, reference 6263. The pre-auction estimate sets the value of this watch somewhere between 51,500 to an amount in excess of 103,000 US dollars. Lot 2128 is what I've always thought was an odd version of the Aquanaut. The Aquanaut takes a lot of its aesthetic relevance, I would say, from the way that it combines a so-called composite or tropical rubber strap with its unique pattern on the dial, which people call grenade dial in the original design, and maybe like a globescape pattern in the current iterations, at least most of the current iterations when it comes to the Aquanaut. Certainly the current stainless steel model, the 5167, has that dial specifically. It is no longer offered with a bracelet, so the auction is actually as good of a chance as any to hunt down an example with the matching bracelet, which I don't know, personally can't really recommend. To me, it always looks odd with the bracelet. Never quite understood, especially with the current design of the bracelet, right? You know, previously Aquanaut did have a bracelet design that kind of made sense with the pattern on the dial. Now it was looking too generic, so I'm not surprised that Patek eliminated it. This is lot 2128 for the Patek Philippe Aquanaut, reference 5167 on the matching bracelet. And the estimated value of this watch is between 28,000 to an amount in excess of 54,000 in US dollars. Lot 2129 is the Nautilus Moon Phase, one of my favorite iterations of the Nautilus. And I'm saying this as someone who is not really a fan of the design to begin with. It's a symmetric dial, it's micro rotor movement. All of that makes this watch, I think, very intriguing, because at the end of the day, the 5711 was around 8.3, 8.5 millimeters thick. The 5712, even though it has a, has the additional complications, it's only a smidgen thicker than the jumbo. And that is thanks to its micro rotor movement, which comes from the lineage of caliber 240. Lot 2129 does come with its certificate of origin, the product literature, instruction manual, as well as the fitted presentation box. And the estimated value of the piece is somewhere between 77,000 to an amount in excess of 103,000 in US dollars. Lot 2132 is a Singapore special edition of the classic, modern classic Aquanaut 5167A. It adopts the national colors of Singapore. It was released in 2019 for the Watch Art Grand Exhibition that was held there. And it was part of a limited run of 500 pieces that honored this occasion. The tropical style rubber strap is red, and it also features red hash marks for the minute track, and the sweep center seconds hand itself is also red. And the sapphire crystal on the exhibition caseback also features Patek Philippe Singapore 2019. The pieces are not numbered, but they were made in 500 examples. This is lot 2132 for the limited edition Aquanaut in stainless steel on the rubber strap, made for the Singapore Watch Art Grand Exhibition. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of this watch somewhere around 90,000 to an amount in excess of 154,000 in US dollars. Lot 2139 is another limited edition piece commemorating the same occasion, the 29 Watch Art Grand Exhibition in Singapore. Once again, the watch is distinguished by its color scheme, which pays homage to the national color of Singapore, with a red guilloche dial with black gradient rim. The piece is presented on a black alligator strap with red contrast stitching. It also has a red dot on the city's ring as well. The seconds track 2 is rendered in red. This is a 5930G, which is a watch that combines Patek's famous world time complication with a self-winding chronograph with flyback functionality. Of course, this model, this particular model, is currently represented by 5935A, which features a bigger case and is rendered in stainless steel. I very much prefer the 5930G, whether it is in the standard production model with the blue dial or this special piece, which was made for the Singapore Grand Exhibition. Once again, in a limited run, this time 300 pieces only. And this lot, which is lot 2136, also comes with a certificate of origin, instruction manual, and presentation box. And the pre-auction estimate sets the value of the watch somewhere between 77,000 to 128,000 in US dollars. There are a number of interesting Crash and Benoit S pieces as well, which I'm sure will be crowd pleasers in this auction. But I want to highlight just a couple of other pieces first. I really love these two time zone pieces, which feature dual movements. 2148 is a Cartier Tank Centré, the beautiful salmon guilloche dial. And it literally has two separate dials with two movements, a Roman numeral dial in the upper half, and a dial that combines double-digit counting of the minutes with Roman numerals at the quarters for the lower dial. Both movements have octagonal crowns, or pardon me, I think they're hexagonal crowns actually, that are topped off with multifaceted sapphires. Beautiful platinum piece. That classic elongated and curved, very sultry case shape of the Cartier Tank Centré. The piece is number 3 of a 50-piece limited run. This was a Cartier limited edition. That combines a salmon dial with a platinum case from around year 2000. This is lot 2148, a dual time Cartier Tank Centré in platinum with a salmon dial. The estimated value of the piece is somewhere between 25,000 to 51,500 in US dollars. Please hit the like button. And again, I would like to remind you that this is an independent platform. I don't enjoy any form of support in terms of sponsors. I'm not paid up by the industry or gray market profiteers. And this allows me to speak freely, be completely independent, and only act as an advocate for your interests, looking out for you. Again, I'm not sponsored in this case by Sotheby's either. I present you the regular caveats, right, that you should always try to schedule a viewing, send experts like me, or at least a friend, to examine those watches in the absence of your own presence there. In the absence of all of that, you should certainly contact the auctioneers, the specialist experts directly, and try to see whether they can provide you with a detailed condition report, maybe additional pictures and videos, and even organize a video conference so you can ask your specific questions until you can make your mind up about a particular watch. All of that being said, again, for me to continue working in this way, I depend on your support. I need your support to keep the lights on. This won't go on forever if you don't support. So I hope you consider that. YouTube gives you a number of ways to offer your support. Super chats are great. And when you ask a question, I give you a lot of value for money. You can, of course, always buy a membership, and soon enough, these memberships will be the only way of watching these live streams because, again, I can't count on consistent support on live streams, it seems. So I would rather broadcast to 2 or 3 people who are actually paying customers than do so freely and give away so much free game for more. So keep that in mind. And maybe you should get ahead of that by getting memberships or gifting memberships to others, which is, again, it already gives you access to an entire archive of exclusive content. So that is something to consider. And of course, there are other ways of supporting my platforms, and I outline those in the description, in the video description below. In either case, if you share the link, if you spread the word to other watch collectors, to other watch enthusiasts, and help me grow my audience, that's also a lot of help in and of itself. And hitting the like button, of course, leaving a comment after the live stream ends, all of those things help push the platform and the videos just a little bit further. But again, I think, I might be forced soon enough to make these live streams members exclusive, at least for most days of the week, because I can't go on working for free. It's economically detrimental to me. It's financially detrimental to me. But most importantly, it just makes me feel like shit, knowing that most people out there just don't value real horological work. They would rather spend their time with stupid entertainers with third grade humor. So keep that in mind. And if any of that is harsh for you, let me show you the door, and don't let it hit your ass on your way out. We are looking at Sotheby's important watches, lot 2147. This is a Cartier Tonneau, the proper barrel-shaped piece. It's a 2-time zone watch, much like the Tank Centré that we were looking at. This comes from the CPCP collection, Cartier Paris Collection Privée, or rather Collection Privée Cartier Paris, reference 2487. It is from year 1999, and it actually comes from a commemorative limited edition of 99 pieces to celebrate the handover of Macau to China. That's why on both dials, number 9 is rendered with an Arabic numeral, with a single Arabic numeral. In the upper dial, the rest of the hour markers are rendered in our Roman numerals. And then in the lower dial, you have Roman numerals for the rest of the quarters. And again, the number 9 to commemorate the 1999 handover of Macau to China. Once again, it is a platinum piece. This time it has 2 beaded crowns with sapphire cabochon topping it off, and against the backdrop of a silvered guilloche dial, you have 2 épée sword-style hands on each dial, which can be independently set for 2 distinct time zones. Again, the Tonneau 2 in Cartier's deployment, in Cartier's take, in Cartier's variant, is a very curved and curvaceous shape. Sits beautifully on the wrist. And this piece at lot 2147 has an estimated value between 25,700 to an amount in excess of 51,500 in US dollars. Lot 2149. This is again a commemorative edition, and this particular auction is heavy with these kinds of pieces. Right, we are looking at a platinum tank à guichet, which saw a reinterpretation very recently, as you know, from Cartier. But this piece actually comes from 1997, limited to just 150 pieces to celebrate Cartier's 150th anniversary in 1997. In platinum, the jump hour watch with a rotating disc that shows you the minutes through a smile-like cutout at the traditional 6 o'clock. Like much of the platinum pieces, the octagonal crown is topped off with a ruby here, which has a multifaceted finish following the geometric shapes of that crown. Number 80 out of that 150 pieces in platinum. And as you can see, the strap itself is an alligator leather strap in a very rich shade of burgundy, which of course complements that ruby cap on the crown really, really well. We're looking at lot number 2149 for the Cartier Tank à Guichet Platinum Jumping Hour wristwatch, made in 150 examples to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Cartier. And the estimated value of the watch before the auction is set in the range between 51,500 to an amount in excess of 90,000 in US dollars. Lot 2152. This is a very rare version of the crash. It is once again market exclusive. You can call it a limited edition too if you like. It was made in 1994 exclusively for the Hong Kong market. That distinctive shape is here rendered in 18 karat pink gold. And the silver dial features rare burgundy painted Roman numerals in that distinct, elongated, and asymmetric shape. There's also a ruby cabochon on the beaded crown to match that aesthetic. This particular example is inscribed on the case back with the year of the limited edition, 1994, and the number 37. It is the 37th watch in the series for this Hong Kong market exclusive with the rare burgundy painted numerals, a Cartier Paris crash in pink gold. Lot 2152 has an estimated value set in the range between 154,000 to 412,000 US dollars. I think I have about 15 minutes more since you don't have any questions, you don't have any requests, you don't send in any super chats with those requests with the lot numbers, so I might tap into them. So I might get back to you with some serious horological knowledge, some in-depth look. So I'm just going to continue with lot 2159, which is the Rolex Explorer 2. My favorite iteration of it, actually, which is the reference 16570 with the Polar Explorer dial, the Polar White dial, I should say. Of course, the watch features a fixed 24-hour bezel and an additional hour hand that tracks the 24-hour time, which you can actually use as a reference time as well, or simply as a way to indicate the military time, so to speak, for the time zone in which you find yourself. Classic Rolex Explorer 2 16570 with the Polar White dial. This is lot 2159. The pre-auction estimate sets the value of this watch between $7,725 to $12,875 in US dollars. Lot 2163 is the modern 37 millimeter AP Royal Oak with the ice blue dial that was first introduced in 2022 for the 50th anniversary. This happens to be actually from that year. So the watch features the special 50th anniversary rotor, which honestly I never liked as a design, and never thought, that it would make for a collectible. I still stand on that. I don't think it really means much unless the watch itself is very special, in which case you're just looking at a serially produced model, 15550 in stainless steel, from the actual 50th anniversary. So it does feature the 50th anniversary rotor with the ice blue dial that was introduced then. This is lot 2163. The estimated value of the watch is set between 20,600 to an amount in excess of 38,600 in US dollars. Lot 2164 is a piece that comes from Erlanger und Söhne's Handwerkskunst series. The Zeitwerk is probably the signature watch by the brand, even though it has its icon in Lange 1. even though it is very much lauded for its chronographs, especially the Datograph. The Zeitwerk is not imitated in any way by any other brand. So it is in many ways the apex of collecting for a Lange. And the Handwerkskunst pieces, as you know, are probably some of the most rarefied limited editions for Lange, and they literally feature the handwork, that hand work of art on the dial itself with the tremblage finish. This is the digital watch with a mechanical heart. It features the time bridge on the dial, which consists of a 2-digit representation, jumping hour, 2-digit representation of the minutes as well, which is also jumping, and this oversized subdial for seconds, which is counterposed with a power reserve indicator. And as you can see, the Platinum watch is fitted with a dial that features the work of hand craftsmanship, the Handwerkskunst, the tremblage finish on the dial. Here's a look at the movement of the watch as well. The frosted finish to the bridges remains very exclusive too, because usually you would see the classic Glashütte ribbing, and here you also have the swan neck regulator that sits on the freehand engraved balance cock, as well as the escapement bridge. This is the A. Lange und Söhne Zeitwerk Handwerkskunst, reference 140-048, lot 2164, has its value set somewhere between 128,000 to 310,000 in US dollars. Clay Guilloche, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. 5 Canadian. Feel free if you have any questions, any requests. I'll do my best to cater to that in the time that remains. It's only just, it's only appropriate. Lot 2164 is an example of Romain Gauthier Logical 1. This is a very unique watch that, if I'm not mistaken, Romain Gauthier just discontinued. It has a very unique take on using fusée and chain as the transmission system as a constant force mechanism. Because it uses that pusher at 9 o'clock to basically charge that system, push by push. If you see it in person, you will see how distinct that chain is, how beautifully finished it is. The eccentric placement of the dial is in and of itself also part of the signature aesthetic of this piece. That's an enamel dial, by the way. This piece is in 18 karat pink gold, and it's only one of the 20 made in this particular configuration. Here's a look from the exhibition case back, which features the power reserve indicator. And again, the finishing of the piece is beautiful. I think you will certainly find a lot to marvel and a lot to enjoy when you see this watch in person, from the balance bridge to the open work dial, to see the escapement and the fusée and chain from this full frontal view, I think is already quite cool. The logical one is, I think, aesthetically very compelling, but also technically a very unique piece by Romain Gauthier, and it really is probably the watch that proved his mettle in the world of high horology. I can't wait to see what he has up his sleeve for the new complicated model that he will release. But until then, and maybe even much later, the logical one will have its place. And this is lot 2167. The pre-auction estimate sets the value of the watch between 103,000 to an amount in excess of 231,000 in US dollars. Let me do two more watches while I'm at it, and then we'll call it a night. Again, I appreciate you, Clay Guilloche. Let's look at that Langematic Perpetual and then the Datograph Perpetual, and we will call it a day. We are essentially looking at two Lange pieces, one perpetual calendar, one perpetual calendar chronograph. Langematic Perpetual, as you can understand from the name, is a self-winding watch. We'll take a look at the movement shortly. It has a very unique dial, of course, the signature oversized dates, the 2-digit expression of the date at 12 o'clock, which can be corrected quickly with the use of the pusher at 10 o'clock. You have the moon phase indicator at 6 o'clock, which is encircled by the seconds. Roughly at 3 o'clock, you have the month in an overlapping subdial. In relation to that, you have the leap year indicator. Roughly at 9 o'clock, you have the day of the week, which wraps itself around the 24-hour hand, which of course also serves as the day-night indicator. Alpha-styled hands inlaid with luminous material and small pips as well behind the Roman numerals. The watch has some luminosity to its hour and minutes hand, as well as its calendrical indications. It is rendered in yellow gold. .38.5 millimeter case. And here's a look at the movement. I really loved this Saxomat movement, this particular version of the Lange automatic movement, kind of like an oversized, eccentrically placed microrotor, which has an oscillating weight. It's beautifully finished in 21 carats of gold, supplemented also by a platinum weight as well. You can see the bridges, which are rendered in German silver, that particular alloy of nickel, copper, and zinc that presents a champagne-like tint. The freehand engraved balance cock, which features the signature of the watchmaker who has decorated it, who has worked on the watch, and a swan neck regulator. Escapement bridge right there. This is the Langematic Perpetual in yellow gold at lot 2176. It was introduced in 2004, and this particular piece is from that year as well. And the lot actually comes with the original Alang und Söhne warranty papers, the setting pin, instruction manual, and the presentation box, which is also its winder. The estimated value of the piece is somewhere around 30,900 to an amount in excess of 64,000 US dollars. Last but not least, tonight, we're looking at lot 2179, and this is the Datograph Perpetual, Alang und Söhne's perpetual calendar chronograph, which rises on the foundation of their legendary hand-wound chronograph movement, the so-called cathedral. Here, the caliber 952.1. Beautiful monochromatic look, interrupted just by a few different accents. Lange only introduced its perpetual calendar chronograph in 2006. This particular piece comes from 2008. Of course, you have the oversized date, which can be corrected by the use of this pusher at 10 o'clock. You have the hand-wound chronograph with the flyback function, so you can instantly set the chronograph to 0 by the use of the flyback button, by the use of the reset button, only for the chronograph to start immediately again, which will help you time 2 intervals in quick succession. Here, the dial is actually quite balanced in its own way, even though it does have a certain asymmetric look to it as well. The oversized date indication is counterbalanced by the moon phase indicator at 6 o'clock. And you have those 2 subdials that each have an overlapping and protruding smaller subdial within them. At 9 o'clock, you have the continuous running seconds that wraps itself around an indicator for the day of the week. And in the upper part of that, you have a day-night indicator. And then a 30-minute totalizer at around 3 o'clock, which encircles the indicator for the months. And in the lower part of that subdial, you have an overlapping smaller subdial that is a leap year indicator. The centrally deployed chronograph seconds hand is in stainless steel, heat blued. So are the other chronograph hands, whereas the other hands of the watch are rhodium plated. The hour markers are largely baton markers with Roman numerals applied at 2, 6, and 10 o'clock. And the alpha hands of the watch for hour and minutes are inlaid with luminous material as well. The chronograph scale of the watch is a tachymeter inscribed on the periphery. And here's a look at the movements that, because of its multi-layered architecture, has been likened to an urban landscape and has been called the cathedral internally by Alan Gonzune. As you can see, its chronograph bridges feature a ribbed finish and are rendered in German silver, whereas the chronograph works themselves are beautifully finished, rendered as they are from stainless steel. Swan neck regulator, hand engraved balance cock. This is the Datograph Perpetual, Alan Gonzune's take on the perpetual calendar chronograph with the flyback functionality, indicators for the phases of the moon, leap year, and the day and night. Lot 2179 has an estimated value between 51,500 to an amount in excess of 77,000 in US dollars. Thank you, Ryan. I do appreciate you. This is it for tonight. You still have some time if you wish to show your support. Please don't forget to hit the like. If you came across this channel randomly, maybe you found the link on Twitter or Instagram, please subscribe. I have this kind of content on a daily basis, more long form, more elaborate than what I offer on Instagram. In either case, you should consider supporting this independent platform, perhaps by getting a membership or gifting memberships to others, which gives you access to a treasure trove of exclusive content. And most of the live streams going forward, are going to be for members only, exclusively for members. So you might want to get ahead of that as well. And that will also be accompanied by a rise in prices for membership too. So keep that in mind too. In either case, if you want to support the channel, you can always super chat. And if you ask a question, I'll most certainly give value for money. You can, of course, consider some of the ways in which you can help by reading the video description. I outline the specific ways there. In either case, if you hit the like button, if you share the links even with other watch collectors and with fellow watch enthusiasts, if you subscribe, if you help them subscribe to me on YouTube at Young Brando and on Instagram, which is at young.brando, you will already be helping quite a bit. Please don't forget to hit the like button. Leave a comment below once the live stream wraps up. Follow me on Instagram. Stay safe, stay healthy, wear and enjoy your watches. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.